11Alive News starts now.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is January 13th. It is 10 a.m., and we are with you live here from the Streaming Center for the next hour right here on 11Alive Plus, and really excited about the show today. It's a packed one, and we've got a packed house as well. We got Grace King over here talking about a story she's been working on. We got Rachel Cox-Rosen talking about some traffic. Gabby's helping us out with some producing elements, and so is Reams back from vacation. Reams, great to have you on what is shaping up to be a busy day. We are talking about funky water in Atlanta.
We are.
We're talking about potentially taxpayers in Fulton County being on the hook for up to $16 million in legal fees. More to come on that. Just bad traffic all around. And you're watching some other things in the 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we've got a lot of feeds going on right now that we're keeping track of. The mayor in a few minutes here in Atlanta is going to be hosting a ribbon cutting for this new housing initiative. If we get that in live, we'll be taking that to you guys as well. The Georgia House back in session. We talked about that yesterday, I believe. Will be something interesting going on there. We could take you there too. The Supreme Court also talking about whether laws that seek to protect women's and girls' sports by limiting participation by some transgender athletes, whether that is going to be legal. So that hearing is, or that oral arguments is set to happen here in a few minutes up in D.C. We do have the audio feed for that. Once that gets underway, we'll get you there at some point in this hour, hopefully. We're also keeping tabs on the trial for one of the Uvalde School District police officers. That's been going on for a couple weeks now. If you click down on 11Alive Plus, you should be able to get to that directly as well. But a lot going on today outside the market, and if something interesting, we'll take you there.
I guess so. Reams, thank you. He's going to be watching all that while I bring in Rachel Cox-Rosen now to talk about some of the traffic issues. Hey, if you've been on the roads this morning, you know it's a better idea to just stay in bed maybe and not go outside. Rachel, what is going on? I mean, it's been like this since 6 a.m.
And a lot of times we see this due to rain, due to fog. Neither of that impacted drivers this morning. It's just cold. The weather wasn't a factor when it came to the traffic. I think the main factor and the main slowdown I saw was in the northwest side of the metro. It all started, Dan, with a red alert, something we put on a crash that's particularly egregious, a crash that shuts down an interstate. So that was 285 in the eastbound direction, just past 75. So the Cobb Cloverleaf right near Truist Park. It's a tough spot, and it stayed closed for, I would say, about 20 minutes, which is long enough to do a lot of damage. And then it's moved to the, right lanes, the entrance lane, so not the through lanes. But flashing lights, Dan, you know how people are. Yeah. They slow down.
Right.
They worry about getting pulled over. They want to see what's going on. It's only natural. Sure. No shame. I get it. But it did create a mess. And what you're looking at right now, or what's queued up, is the drive times on the big three. That's what we like to call 75, Georgia 400, and I-85. I want to direct you to that first one. I know it doesn't look terrible compared to Georgia 400 and I-85, but 26 minutes at this time of day. What time is it, Dan? 9?
We're a few minutes after 10 now.
A few minutes after 10. Yeah, so 26 minutes from Barrett Parkway to the perimeter. That's Kennesaw to 285. That is significantly slow for this time. Still very slow on Georgia 400 as well. 35 minutes Windward Parkway to 285. And then 22 minutes Highway 316 to 285 on I-85. Next graphic just shows a wide look at all of Metro Atlanta to get a sense of the slowdowns there. Thanks, Reams. So usually by this time of day, Dan, I'm seeing a lot of green. It's looking good, except for my usual construction zones. Not the case today, and that's just a ripple effect, a domino effect from earlier crashes, just combining traffic and congestion that we see every day from rush hour and from volume. And it creates this. It happens sometimes. It's not fun, but it does happen.
Hey, are Wednesdays still a busy day on the roads for folks?
The wisdom of trying to zero in on a single day being the worst, I don't know if I completely agree with. There are so many factors every single day. Wednesdays aren't good, though, because, if you think about it, people sometimes will take a 3-day weekend, take Monday or Friday off.
Sure.
Maybe they're all back by Wednesday. So I think there is some truth to that. So certainly today.
Maybe it's just anecdotal. But thinking ahead to tomorrow, I'm like, maybe Wednesday will be a little better. And it's like, it seems to be packed.
Yeah, this is a drive time now that I want to show you guys on the downtown connector, because this is another one that's looking worse than usual. Almost a half an hour from the south side split, so around Highway 166 to the Brookwood split in Midtown. Again, usually by now that's about 10 minutes. So it's southbound's looking okay. But yeah, it's just been a tough day.
And the story as we go into a little later in the week, the potential for wintry weather. We're going to be talking to
I'm
Chesley in a
nervous.
minute, but you know what? That could only complicate things for your job.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do my best if that happens, to help drivers through it. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of people calling out of work. I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping people stay home. I don't want to deal with the danger.
Oh, Rachel, you've been on it all morning long since 6 a.m. and that red alert came in.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking some time to walk us through what it looks like now.
Of course. Thanks so much, Dan. Appreciate it.
All right, Rachel Cox-Rosen, she and Doug Turnbull with you every morning right here on 11Alive Plus. Be sure to stick with them as you head out and you want to know what your commute's looking like. All right, I teased that wintry weather. You know, Chesley was in here yesterday saying, well, don't get too excited about the models yet. Maybe it's going to be a story up there in North Georgia. Maybe it's just going to be cold for us down here. But Chesley, we've given you an extra 24 hours. So has anything changed since we last talked yesterday?
No.
Okay.
No. We mentioned yesterday, it's kind of dry.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take a lot for moisture to get in here and make it all the way down to the surface. And I don't think that's going to be the case at all. We may see a few sprinkles because those temperatures will start to warm up on us a little bit. So sprinkles, folks, that's about it. North Georgia mountains, still light, if anything at all. Take a look at what's going on out there right now. Now, you wouldn't know it today. We started out with temperatures in the 20s and 30s out there, but then as we head into the afternoon, what's going to happen is those temperatures are going to modify a bit, getting up into the upper 50s. Today, Dan, will be the best day of the week to do anything outside because those clouds back off to the west will start to move into our area, and it's going to be cloudy tomorrow. Even though we'll see highs in the 50s again tomorrow, it's still going to be a cloudy day. The chance of rain starts to go up on us a little bit, and I think it will be an early high because those temperatures will start to fall off a little bit. High pressure, our friend, keeping those clouds at bay, but eventually moves over toward the east, and those clouds will follow and make it into our area. So we're mild today in the 50s. Tomorrow, here comes that cold air, my friend. Yeah, all the way down here to the south. Thursday will be the coldest day of the week. If you thought Monday and Tuesday was cold, you thought Monday was cold, and today, starting off in the morning, was cold. Wait till you get to Thursday. I mean, it's really going to be cold out there. That starts to move back to the north. We'll stay on the cold side. Temperatures will stay in the 40s for your Friday and Saturday, and then by Sunday, here comes that next front, right? So that moves down into the area, and we'll have another cold day again on Sunday. Now, with those fronts coming in, two cold blasts, we'll see that reinforcing shout of cold air on Saturday night going into Sunday. Winter precipitation, low confidence for it because of the limited moisture associated with those fronts as they begin to move in. It's only a 30% chance on Wednesday, 20% chance on Friday. So low, very low threats of rain. All the teachers out there going, oh. Up to the North Georgia mountains is where you find our model saying the snow will be. So in the higher elevations, there could be a few snow flurries, but the ground is still warm. So we're not looking at much sticking there either. And so, yeah, that's your only shot, folks. Here's a better look at it now with our forecast track model. You can see where the clouds come in tonight. We'll have maybe a sprinkle or two early on. We're still warm at this point. This is 10 o'clock in the morning. So here comes that rain, and it stays as rain right on through, coming through our area. You notice a little bit of snow up there in the higher elevations of the North Georgia mountains, but that's about it. It wraps up. Man, I'm talking about northwest winds with that cold air. Highs will be in the 30s, but it's going to feel like the 20s out there. Teens in the morning. 37 degrees for the high temperature on Thursday. By Friday, we'll get back into the 40s, but we'll stay right there. Then low 40s for your Sunday. Monday morning, MLK Day. You're off from work, but you got some service planned. Bundle up. It's going to be cold out there. I'm not saying don't do the service.
Right.
We need it in our community, but it's going to be cold. Don't say we didn't warn you.
All those outdoor events, it's going to be in the 20s, and
Oh, yeah.
wind chills might
Yeah.
even make it feel a little chillier.
Don't let that stop you.
No.
But
Get out
yes,
there.
just know that we're warning you that it's going to be cold.
Yeah. All right. Chesley, thanks. Great to see you, man.
Dan, good to see you.
Okay.
All right.
Chesley, he is on top of it, and I guess more to come. We'll be watching in the days ahead. But also in the days ahead, we are watching the latest with the election interference case. You thought it was over? Not so fast. Some repercussions continue. We'll be checking in with Grace King in just 2 minutes. She's been on top of this case since the start. We're back after this. Hey, good morning. Great to be with you. It is 10:11. We are live here on 11Alive Plus. We told you it's a busy day, watching a lot of things happening live as we speak, including Mayor Dickens here in Atlanta hosting a ribbon cutting for Gilgal Incorporated and the Gilgal Village. Let's listen in live.
It's my honor to introduce Mayor Andre Dickens, the 61st mayor of the city of Atlanta. As a lifelong Atlantan, Mayor Dickens has championed community investment and housing as essential foundations for opportunity, values that align closely with the vision of Gilgal Village and its commitment to expanding access to housing with dignity. Please join me in welcoming Andre Dickens.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Val. Thank you for you and your husband's vision and for you starting this and having that faith that led you to action. As a matter of fact, was it this weekend or somewhere this weekend? I don't know if it was at my church or another church I visited. It was talking about James and faith without works is dead. And so you put your faith to action, you and the whole team here. So you are not just giving a sermon, you are showing what a sermon looks like here. And thank you for your leadership, and thank all of you for being here today. Though it may be cold, it's still a pretty day in the A. We always figure out one thing to get it right, at least. It could be freezing, it could be snowing, but it's going to be pretty. So we get that out the way, all right? So we it's a chilly day, but all things considered, this is an awesome day in Atlanta because we're providing hope and opportunity. For more than 20 years, you've answered that call that God gave you, creating a place where women in this city can heal, grow, and start again. And so to the Gilgal board, to the volunteers, to the staff, to the donors and all the faith partners that make this happen, and especially the women of Gilgal. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning and to bring greetings on behalf of the city of Atlanta. Lisa and I are friends. I don't know where there she is. We're friends. We've been in Sunday school together and Bible study and church together, and she brought a lot of the folks from Gilgal to my church about a month or two ago. Reverend Smith and I were just beaming as you brought them there, and we enjoyed doing some work together. So it gave us a closer relationship to understand that. And so we are celebrating another crossing point that, just like the ones Gilgal was named for, their story is rooted in the journey of Joshua and the children of Israel crossing over into a new place, headed towards the promised land, trusting God for new ground and a brighter future. And in that spirit, Gilgal Village stands as a marker that says to every woman who comes here, your story is still moving forward. And so my pastor, Reverend Sean Smith, always reminds us at New Horizon that love ought to look like something. And so for Atlanta, love looks like housing and supportive services. Love looks like a door with a key that you can lock and open, with keys in hand, lights on, heat and air, and a safe place to keep and sleep for the night. Love looks like Gilgal Village, a place that tells women that they are in recovery, that you are seen, you are valued, and you do not have to walk this journey alone. That's probably the best part of this, that someone's going to walk alongside you. And so to the women of Gilgal who are here today, and to those who will come after you, let me speak directly to you. Thank you for your courage, and thank you for your resilience. And as your mayor for at least another 4 years, I am rooting for you. And so I'm glad that right here in Atlanta.
Mayor Dickens right there speaking at a ribbon cutting for the new Gilgal Village. It is some short-term non-medical recovery housing for women entering recovery. So good work they're doing there, and the mayor part of the opening today. All right, now saying in Fulton County, you'd be forgiven if you thought the election interference case was over, done, we can move on, stop talking about it. Not quite. The repercussions could have the taxpayer footing a massive bill. Grace King reported on this story yesterday. She's joining us now. First time in studio. Grace, great to have you with us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. We're talking potentially $16 million in legal fees here. Walk us through, if you've been sleeping under a rock for the last few days, what's happened.
Well, so we have the Georgia election interference case. That, of course, the indictment came down back in August 2023. The case had a lot of hiccups along the way, and eventually all charges were dismissed. So last spring, when the legislature was in session, lawmakers passed a new law looking at cases like this one, where it has to meet these specific standards, right? So the prosecutor has to be disqualified, and you have to have the charges dismissed against the defendant. So you don't see that happen a lot, but that did happen in this case specifically. And now that that's happened, you have 45 days if you want to try and recoup your legal fees spent on this case. That's the new state law. We've never really seen it play out in court. This is the first time we're seeing it. But all of these attorneys said, hey, this law exists. We want to try, see where this goes. Let's take it. So they had 45 days. This was filed, I believe, the day before Thanksgiving. The charges were dismissed. So they had until yesterday to file. And 13 of the 15 eligible all filed saying, here's our legal bills. We would like the Fulton County DA's office to pay them.
So for whatever reason, 2 defendants have not come forward.
Yeah, one of them, I'm not quite sure why she didn't file. The other one just told me they weren't going to file it this time. That was Ashley Merchant. She was the one who revealed the relationship between District Attorney Fonnie Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade that kind of derailed the whole case, if you will. She said they weren't going to file, so they didn't. The other defendant is Misty Hampton. We're not quite sure why she didn't file, but again, everyone else in this case did go ahead and ask.
So where exactly in the budget is all this money going to come from? I mean, is it straight out of the DA's pockets, or is it coming more from taxpayers' general fund type stuff?
Well, so that's the way the law's written, is that it would come from the DA's operating budget. But the way the DA's operating budget is funded is through Fulton County's operating budget. The DA, Fulton County this year, they're going to give her $40.6 million for her office. The chairman told me that's almost all personnel. So if you think of all the staff it takes to run the DA's office, to move not just these criminal cases, but, you know, the smaller criminal cases, all the cases through the legal system, that's her personnel. Fulton County has a huge case backlog. We've talked about it for years. They've struggled to kind of keep up after COVID. So cutting any portion of that budget really isn't an option. So the Fulton County chairman told me she won't be able to pay it because her budget's so limited, so the county will have to pay it out of its general funds. Whether they have enough money depends on how much this final amount ends up being.
Is she going to have the opportunity, DA Willis, to argue this before a judge? And is the judge even going to care at that point? Or is he going to say this is up to the county to figure out where the funds come from? I mean, what are the next steps in this case?
So the judge has no say in where the funds come from. If he says this is the bill, the county has to figure out how to pay for it. That'll be maybe a commission discussion. They'll talk to the DA, look at things. They said they might look at budget cuts if they have to. They don't want to. Look at the millage rate, just figure out where that money would have to come from. The DA's office has filed a motion to intervene in this case, saying they would like their day in court. They believe this new law is unconstitutional. It hasn't been really challenged by anyone. We haven't seen it play out yet. They want a day in court to say, here's why we haven't argued this. So there were multiple motions throughout the duration of this case saying these charges are meritless. They shouldn't move forward in court. And Judge McAfee, he did dismiss some counts here and there, but overall he kept the case moving forward. So he was saying there is grounds to continue the case. There is grounds to continue the case. So she's saying because that was denied multiple times, there's proof in court from that same judge that this case did have merit to it. There were just other reasons they chose not to prosecute it in the end. So she's hoping she can make that argument to the judge in court. She asked for a hearing on March 25th, but again, it's all in Judge McAfee's hands.
Yeah, so he's going to be the one who decides what's reasonable in this case, which is kind of left open to interpretation. And do we know how much President Trump has asked for?
Yes. So President Trump, his attorneys have asked for $6.3 million.
Okay.
So there's some other defendants, though. They're also asking upwards in the millions. You have Mark Meadows, his former chief of staff, at $2.2 million. You have Sean Still at 1.8, David Schaefer, 1.4 million, Robert Cheatley, 1.3 million. So, I mean, when you start asking 15 defendants how much their legal bills cost, it adds up very, very quickly. But that reasonable is going to be the key word there.
Is this going to set up precedent for other dismissed cases in Georgia, or do you think this is unique because of what happened with the prosecutor being dismissed and because of that new law?
So the way the law is written is there has to be some kind of issue with the prosecutor on the case. You don't often see that in criminal cases. Of course, there are situations. A lot of times, a lot of the reasons this case ended up being dismissed was just the sheer volume of it. The reason it couldn't actually be tried, you had the head of the prosecuting attorneys qualifications commission, Pete Skandalakis. He was saying, listen, you can't try a sitting president. By the time he's out of office, we're talking 10 years removed from all these charges happening. There were a lot of special reasons why this case didn't move forward. In other cases where we've seen the prosecutor disqualified, if it's just one or two defendants, it's easier for another office to pick up versus 15 defendants. How do you try them? The timeline. I mean, this was just, he was saying it's too difficult to pick up at this point, this far removed. So
Grace.
I'm not sure if it'll be a precedent, but.
Yeah, right. Final question for you. Have we heard from any county officials? Has Chairman Pitts, for example, weighed in to talk about where this money's going to come from?
He says it'll come from the county's general fund. He
Yeah.
just doesn't know, again, that reasonable number. Judge Scott McAfee could say, yep, 15.78 million. That's how much it costs. That's
Right.
how much you have to pay. He could say, well, some of these attorneys are billing 1,000 an hour. We'll give you 200 an hour. You build 300 hours. We think it should have taken 200. That'll be his discretion. We don't know when he has to make that decision by, but how they'll pay depends on how much that bill is.
We've never seen anything like it. It's
No.
going to be fascinating to watch.
Unprecedented is
Yeah.
the word of this case.
The fallout continues. Grace, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Come back anytime. We are still watching that ribbon cutting there at Gilgal Village that we just brought you a few minutes ago. Mayor Andre Dickens helping to cut the ribbon there. That is some new short-term non-medical recovering housing for women entering recovery. We're happy to bring you a portion of that event live. And also coming up here in just a minute, have you noticed the water in Atlanta tasting a little musty? You're not alone if so. We're going to be speaking with an expert to talk about what's behind that after this short break. Hey, it's great to be with you on this Tuesday, January 13th, and a cold one at that. Hey, have you tasted your water lately and said, something's not right here? This is a little musty, this is a little funky. Look, you're not alone if that's the case. There's a new AJC article out. It was posted just a few days ago. I encourage you to go read it online. That says that some customers at restaurants are now complaining that the water at the restaurants is tasting a little weird, and they're asking, what's the deal? And apparently it's also transferring over to some of the food items. So let's get to the bottom of it now with Dr. Youngshin Chen from Georgia Tech. Dr. Chen, it's great having you on the program. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, for folks at home noticing this earthy or musty taste, what's happening with our water right now? What are we tasting?
So I think that might be caused by different things, yeah, including microbial related byproducts such as algal blooming or um, bacteria.
What
So
is this
that
all
causes.
coming from one water source, or what can we all trace this back to?
So that is seasonal. If that is from municipal drinking water, so if in the summertime, algal can grow very fast, so it will generate different type of byproducts such as geosamine or MIB, or form biofilms after flushing or seasonal changes that causes this musty and earthy type of odor and taste.
So, is the seasonal change what we could blame the current taste on right now, or is something more at work?
Yes, it's mainly caused by bacteria, but we have to, do the measurement to make sure it is the right cause in order to figure out the real problems.
So, how common is this? Is this an issue that's unique to Atlanta, or other cities dealing with this? And by the way, I guess the biggest question is the water safe to drink?
Uh, I I I think it's the short answer is do not drink when we figured out what causes that. That's the short answer.
Sure. This AJC article I referenced talks about how people go into restaurants are tasting this in their coffee and their sodas and their food. Is there a reason perhaps it's that taste is coming out a little more in those items as opposed to just a glass of water?
I think we have to do the taste test in order to figure out what causes that. So, as I said, it could be caused by microbial growth, such as algae or bacteria or fungi, often produces the earth and musty odors. The chemicals is like geosamine and MIB, the two isoboronyl, that's the chemical's name. And also, it could be caused by organic matter decay in pipes or wells or storage tanks, and other contaminant sources of water, such as surface water intrusion, biofilms growth, and also stagnant water in plumbing. That is another reason can cause that type of odor related issues.
It's Dr. Chen from Georgia Tech. Thank you for helping us make sense of all this. It's one of those topics that's over some of our heads, but I guess it's just something we're going to have to get used to, especially with the changing of the seasons. But great speaking with you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
And we'll be back with more local news and weather right after this short break. Hey, great to be with you on this Tuesday, January 13th. Fascinating conversation there with a Georgia Tech professor a couple minutes ago talking about some of the funky tasting water out there here in Metro Atlanta. Meteorologist Melissa Nord says she's noticed it before. Hey, you're a Georgia Tech grad. You probably understood everything he was talking about there.
I didn't, but I will tell you. I live in Cobb. Every time I went into Fulton County, drank the water here at work, whatever, from mid-November through December. Oh, it's so gross.
You noticed it.
At the restaurants, you'd go and you'd get a water, and you're like, they're forcing me to buy a beer here because the water's so gross. It had that really earthy, minerally, like dirt taste.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I think it's tasting a little better now than it did.
So now you're asking for sparkling water at the restaurants?
I don't want to pay. I'm cheap.
Right. I know. I'm with you there. And this AJC article, which was fascinating, says that some restaurant customers are starting to notice it in the food, too. Because, like, if you're making mashed potatoes at a restaurant, you're using the tap water. And
that's a great point.
Your
pasta water.
I can deal with musty water, but not musty mashed potatoes. Anyway.
Ugh.
Hey, should we talk about some wintry weather? What are the chances?
Shall we? Well, if you believe some hypers online, you've been locked in for 7 days. But that's not the truth. Here's the thing. When we look at winter weather forecasting, there's a lot of different things that we watch for, and there's a timeline for when we watch those things. 7 days out, 7 to 10 days out, pattern recognition. That's what we're watching. So do we have cold air in place? Are we going to see a dip in the jet stream with moisture coming in? That's what we look for. When we get into day 5 to 7, which is, if you're thinking about the weekend, we're kind of in that range right now. We're looking for, is it trending more likely or less likely? And we don't just look at one operational model, we call it on TV. We look at behind the scenes ensemble models. Those are, okay, if the temperatures are slightly different or if the clouds are slightly different today, what would it mean 5 days down the line? Ensembles. There are many different also solutions if we have little wiggles in what's actually happening outside, or we call it perturbations in the nerdy term for
What's
that.
it called?
Perturbations.
Okay.
It's nerdy.
I love it. I learned something new with you.
We're on the plus, Dan. We got all the time in the world, don't we? So we look at ensembles. We look at AI models now, and I've been looking at AI models the last couple of days and trends in those. And what I can tell you is we're not trending upwards for this weekend chance of wintry weather. And when you see people showing you raw snow output 5 days out on TV or on social media, it's just not really responsible. Now, okay, so we're trending down. If we were to get to 3 to 5 days out, we would start looking at, well, what would the timing be? What would the storm type be? Would it be an all snow event? Would we be dealing with ice and all that? And then we get into those finer details closer out. So are we going to see snow this weekend? I have very low confidence in that playing out. I do have much higher confidence that A, it will be cold, and B, the mountains tomorrow evening could end up with a little bit of snow mixing in. So let's talk about first the temperature pattern, and Chesley alluded to this. Today's the nicest day of the week. We're going to be up around 60 degrees this afternoon. But then we see two different cold air intrusions of cold, dry Arctic air coming in, the first of which surges in here tomorrow evening, overnight, and Thursday morning. The second of which is a second punch that's arriving over the weekend, Saturday and into Sunday. So we'll be watching with this cold air coming in, any moisture. We can say that there will be limited moisture Wednesday evening for some of that rain shower action to switch over to snow. I am less confident in a big way about this weekend's weather system. So here's the forecast track for Wednesday. We start off tomorrow morning after, close to 60 this afternoon. We have sunshine. It's beautiful outside. Tomorrow we wake up with clouds. Now there's going to be a little southern stream that tries to clip some showers out towards Macon. We could see some rain showers near Thomaston. I just don't think it's highly likely. Here's Wednesday evening, though. You can see some of that green coming in on the forecast track. It's 50 degrees in Atlanta. That's far too warm for snow. 45 in Canton, far too warm for snow. The sun sets, though, it pulls some colder air down. We could see a little mix in or changeover with some wet snowflakes in the North Georgia mountains. But notice the temperature. Blairsville 36 at tomorrow at 7. Clayton 39. It's those highest elevations like Hogpen Gap and Brasstown Bald. Those skyline drives that are really pretty. That's where we would start to see maybe some grassy or elevated surfaces, seeing some of that snow sticking. But with us in the 50s today and tomorrow, the ground's really warm. The asphalt, the concrete, it's going to just melt that snow like that. And there's not a lot of moisture. So there might be some flurries overnight, so it might look pretty in some of the landscape briefly. I think the bigger story, though, and the impact will be the cold. The winds really crank up, so it should dry any melted moisture off the roads, limiting black ice formation. Look at Thursday morning, 25. Our snow potential, this is how much falls from the sky. You can see a little bit on the map. That's not all going to stick and accumulate. So bottom line is, will the mountains see flakes flying? Yes. Will it stick and accumulate? That's more difficult to do. It'd be those bridges and overpasses that I'd be watching for first. The ground stays pretty warm. Those bridges and overpasses have the cold air going under and over them, so they can reach those numbers below freezing in terms of the ground. Let's talk wind chills. Bus stop. Brutal on Thursday morning. Look at this. Wind chill. 5 in Blairsville, 11 in Clayton, 13 in Atlanta, and 18 in Athens. So really cold start Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon just doesn't get better. We have these whipping, howling winds, and that's going to keep the wind chills below freezing the whole day on Thursday. What's a wind chill? Well, okay, let's talk about the science of wind chills. Your body creates a layer of warmth, and that keeps you warm. When you have exposed skin, okay, the wind is whisking that moisture away, the warmth away, so the wind is evaporating the moisture a lot quicker. It cools the air around you, and so the wind chill is what you actually need to dress for. All right, so highs Thursday, really cold. We've got temperatures kind of in those upper 30s on Thursday afternoon for temperatures themselves. That cold is going to stick around into the weekend. You see Friday and Saturday getting to the 40s, but then we'll have reinforcing cold air coming in by the second half of the weekend. So again, we're watching that moisture over the weekend. I don't know if we're going to have it, Dan. And even if we do, it's really limited moisture. I'm less confident today than I was at the end of last week.
Okay.
So,
and it would be higher elevations, North Georgia counties on Thursday morning, waking up Thursday morning, that they might potentially see
it would be Wednesday evening. The changeover would happen. So if we were to see any, I would guess school delays would be,
for the wind chill, if nothing else.
Well, I don't know if we're quite cold enough for wind chill.
Cold enough for me. I'm not making those calls, though.
I don't want to stand out waiting for the bus if it's late.
Can you believe it was a year ago when we had several inches of snow on the ground?
I know. January, what was it, the 9th or 10th? We had one of the anniversaries, and the next one's coming up with that southern storm system with everybody was stranded on the roads down in Peachtree City and Clayton County, and we had a lot of roads, people stranded. That's coming up in a week and a half.
All right. It can strike any time of year. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. Great to have her joining us. They are keeping a close eye on the system, and we'll be checking in with the full weather team in the days leading up to any potential wintry weather events. But now we want to get to some breaking news that we are following on the national front. And this has to do with former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. They were scheduled to give depositions today and tomorrow to the Republican-led House Oversight Committee, but neither has confirmed their attendance. And this is something to watch because a House Oversight Committee spokesperson has now warned that they will begin contempt of Congress proceedings against the former president and the former Secretary of State if they don't show up for these depositions. By the way, all this has to do with the panel's investigation into the Epstein case. So this is going to be one to watch in the days ahead, whether the Clintons show up for the depositions, and if not, whether this Republican-led House Oversight Committee moves forward with holding them in contempt of Congress. We will keep an eye on that breaking news. But back here at home in Atlanta, we are gearing up for the World Cup, now about 5 months away. And now is the time, literally now, right now, if you want to get tickets to the World Cup, you have to enter the lottery. And you have 19 minutes to do it. This is the first round of the lottery. It's as easy as going to this website, FIFA.com/tickets, and you can register your interest for tickets. You just submit your email. They're going to send you a sign-in code, and once you get past this page, then you can choose which matches you'd be interested in attending. You can select as many matches as you'd like, up to 4 tickets per match, and then at that point, it's just kind of luck of the draw Will your name get chosen to go see a game here in Atlanta? They will let you know come early February. And at that point, if they draw your name, that is when your credit card will get charged. So I went through this yesterday. I signed up trying to get tickets to a few matches. I mean, you can make the argument it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's going to be right here in our backyard. 8 matches going to be held here in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But the whole World Cup spread out this year over the course of about 5-6 weeks, June and July, across U.S., Canada, and Mexico. And by the way, our odds probably not in our favor if you'd like to have your name selected for this lottery. About 150 million others have also joined me in submitting their names for the World Cup tickets from more than 200 different countries. But maybe, just maybe, one of us will get chosen. And again, you got 17 minutes to go on there because that lottery closes at 11 a.m. We have plenty more news coming up right after this short break. See you in 2 minutes. We are following some developing news this morning here on 11Alive Plus. Did you hear about this from overnight? The president of Morris Brown University fired abruptly by the board, and he says it was without cause. So what's going on here? Our reporter Ariana Manise has been on this story all morning long and brings us the latest.
Dr. Kevin James says he was terminated by the Morris Brown College Board of Trustees. He says it's a decision that caught him off guard. Dr. James responded to this move on Facebook, saying the board ended his service as president without what he called specific cause or substantive explanation. James also says the timing is concerning as the college approaches its accreditation reaffirmation review and claimed that the move disregarded his contract, which he says runs through 2029. Morris Brown College confirmed James's removal, thanking him for his service and leadership and saying the board wishes him well in his next chapter. Now, the college did not provide a reason for the leadership change, only saying that this college will move forward. The college did also announce that the Board of Trustees member, Nzinga Shaw, will now serve as interim president effective immediately. Meanwhile, Dr. James says he recently received a positive annual performance review, also pointing to the accomplishments that he's been able to achieve during his tenure here at the college, pointing to increased enrollment here at Morris Brown, also allowing and getting this college through a clean financial audit, also stating that this college was able to regain its accreditation after nearly 2 decades. He says that as far as his contract, he will look at all rights and all remedies moving forward. Reporting from Morris Brown College, I'm Ariana Manise for 11Alive. Back to you.
Potentially a story that is not over yet. We'll be keeping a close eye on anything the college or Dr. James has to say in the coming days. Meantime, always interested to hear what Joe Ripley has to say. He's got a fascinating story for us this morning, joining us in studio, because have you heard about the rise in girls wrestling? It's becoming a big sport in Georgia. Joe, I had no idea until your story.
Yeah. DG Wrestle is the name of this new initiative here that really cropped up after the explosive growth we've seen in girls wrestling at the high school ranks. This one, DG Wrestling, it stands for Da Girls Wrestle, DeKalb Girls Wrestle, as well as Daisy Galeeland, the founder of this initiative. And so we want to introduce you to Daisy here, who is not only capitalizing on a sport that's making girls exert all sorts of force and hard work on the mat, but giving them life lessons as well. One day on the mat, and Daisy Galeeland was hooked.
My first day of practice for wrestling, I ended up going upstairs and I slammed a guy my first day of practice, and I fell in love with the sport.
That love locked up with resistance.
Even though my mom, my grandmother, nobody wanted me to wrestle, I continued to do it and continued to just change lives while at it.
Including her own. Galeeland's parents were recently incarcerated, so in a sport dominated by guys, Galeeland grappled with opponents on the mat and dark thoughts in her mind.
It was my escape from life. It was my escape from everything I had going on. Anything that I went through, I directly put it on the mat.
After graduating from Stone Mountain High School, Galeeland became a girls wrestling coach and started her own camp, DG Wrestle, to grow the sport. Day Paw and her sister found a bond on the mat.
Even though it's just 6 minutes of wrestling, like that feel like way more than like just 6 minutes, because you're putting like your whole body and everything. Like it's strength involved, stamina.
This is all my hard work and support from my family, my coaches, and my teammates. It's just paying off.
Zenobia Heron lost her brother in a deadly shooting in October. She dedicated her matches to his memory and earned medal after medal.
Not everybody has to be, just, oh, I'm not strong enough to do this, because you can be. And honestly, wrestling is all about strength. It's really skill.
The skill to succeed in wrestling and life, Galeeland says, lies between the ears.
You can do anything if you set your mind to it, especially if you have a big dream, especially with the right connections, the right people, the right relationships. You can go so far in life.
I absolutely love this story, Dan.
Really building confidence in these young women, it looks like.
Yeah, Daisy really is. She knew from her sophomore year of high school that she wanted to be a girls wrestling coach, and she caught the bug just like that. And as you can see, so many other girls have, because they found their place in life. They've experienced loss so much in other areas of their life, but when they get to the mat, they can pour their heart and soul out into that. It can be an escape for them. It can also be a strength building force for them. And Stone Mountain Girls Wrestling actually won regionals in 2024, so they're hoping to build upon that success. And we can't wait to see where the girls go from here.
We see some girls now joining tackle football teams in middle school and high school.
Yeah.
We see girls flag football is really taken off, I've just learned recently.
That's right.
And now wrestling. I mean, it seems to be sort of a broader movement of girls entering boys sports.
There are, and it just goes to show you, even sports traditionally dominated by guys, there's always opportunity for everyone to get involved. It's fun at each and every level. It's not just a guy thing.
Yeah.
These girls can show just as much toughness on and off the field, mat, or court. And we're seeing that it's, again, not only building their physical stamina and endurance, but it's also building young men and women off the field of play as well.
I wouldn't want to face them on a mat.
No. They were describing some of those takedowns, some of the grapples, and I was just like, how long did it take you to really get this? They're like, a few years, so I wouldn't want to mess with me.
All right. I love the story, Joe. Thank you for bringing that to us. Joe Ripley, everybody. Hey, also want to take you to some breaking news we're following out of Fulton County. There's a motions hearing going on right now for the spa shooter. Remember that case? 8 people killed across Cherokee County and then here in Fulton County by a man targeting some of those massage parlors. Let's listen in on that motions hearing now.
To the House, and then the House would consider the bill. The House would have had the privilege to either amend the bill or not, pass it as it was submitted, or defeat it. And that's basically the procedure for all legislation.
Okay, and what happened to Senate Bill 1 in the 2017-2018 term?
It was brought up for vote. Obviously, Senate Bill 1 would have to pass in the Senate first, then it was transferred to the House. The House took the bill up, and I don't know if there were particular amendments, but in the end, the House would have taken a vote on it, pass or fail. And from this, it appears that the bill failed in the House.
Okay.
And typically what happens when a bill fails, people will make motions for reconsideration and that kind of thing, and you look at the various motions and whatever. But the ultimate outcome of this Senate Bill 1 failed in the House.
Okay. And were there motions for reconsideration in this case?
According to the scan, yes, it was. And that's the procedure that move is always made by the sponsors of the bill. If the bill failed, is moved to reconsider the bill, basically asking his colleagues to take a second look at the bill and reconsider your position or your vote on this bill. That's the whole purpose of that.
And so I want to move on to House Bill 452.
Okay.
And, well, let me back up. On regards to Senate Bill 1, what day of the legislature was Senate Bill 1 considered by the House?
If my memory served me well, it was the 39th day.
The 39th day.
Which is the day before the last day.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. So the day before the last day, I understand what your testimony is that Senate Bill 1 was considered, it was voted on, there was motion for reconsideration, and it failed.
It failed.
And so I want to direct you now to House Bill 452. And do you have the legiscan on House Bill 452?
I do.
And so what date was the last day of the legislature in 2017, 2018 term?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation. They've not established that he has a foundation for personal knowledge as to the days for the 2017 legislation.
I sustain the objection. Go ahead.
Certainly. Do you have the legiscan in front of you, correct?
I do. Let me make it clear now. There's only 40 days in the legislative session, and 40 comes after 39, and this was done on the 40th
day. And so.
Your Honor, I would still object to foundation because there's no indication as to what his foundation for personal knowledge as to the days of this particular legislative session were, since they've only established that he was in the legislature many years before.
And so, I'm in regards to asking you to review the legiscan in front of that you reviewed in this case.
Yes.
What date was my question? What date was Bill 452 House Bill 452 brought to the House after the defeat of SB 1?
It looks like the 30th of March, 2017.
And when you were in the legislature, were you ever on the House floor?
Yeah, I was on the House floor. Not a lot, because the Senate and the House, pretty much stay in their house. And the chamber tip the neighbors. May I explain something to you?
Certainly.
The general atmosphere in the Senate is considered an upper chamber. And the Senate is much, much smaller than the House. And the Senate is much more orderly than the House. And, there's this kind of typical thing that the Senate is, to be real candid, much more orderly than the House. And quite frankly, we kind of consider the House more like a zoo, to be frank about it, because there's all of this turmoil and all of this people generally going on in the House. And we were seen as the upper chamber. And so, but I'm familiar with the House floor.
And so, is the House floor open to the public?
No. Well, the public can sit in the spectator's chamber and watch, but to actually go on the floor, I mean, that is a privileged matter where members can go on the floor from each body.
Okay.
But that's just a kind of mutual respect that both bodies show to each other.
And and are you aware if the House floor is recorded?
Oh yeah.
And so in this case, were you able to review recordings of the House floor?
I was as it relates to this particular piece of legislation, yeah.
And so when you viewed the video in regards to the passage of, or the vote on HB 452, in that video, did you see which day that was voted on?
Objection, Your Honor. Best evidence. These are videos that are already before the court. Having this witness testify to what he has perceived on that video is not something that should be coming before the court through testimony.
We're getting to that.
All will be objections one time.
Okay, you're listening to some testimony. This is from a motions hearing regarding the trial of Robert Aaron Long. He's the accused shooter in the 2021 Atlanta spa shootings. We know that he faces 19 charges here in Fulton County, which is where this courtroom is right now, including 4 counts of murder. He has already pleaded guilty to 4 murders in Cherokee County. Remember, this is a case that spanned multiple counties, and he's already serving a life sentence here. Fulton County, the prosecutors here are seeking the death penalty. So more to come in this case. Clearly far from over. We'll let you know what comes from that motions hearing today and potentially when a trial date finally gets set up. But in the meantime, coming up in just 1 minute, keep it right here on 11Alive Plus, because at 11 a.m. we are following several important stories. You see them here. State health officials say they now have the first measles case this year in Georgia, and it's a child too young to get a measles shot. More on that. Plus, the Georgia superintendent in town today giving some honors to Atlanta public schools. And at the top of the hour, Matt Ryan set to speak at any minute.